Hello,
Uh,
everyone.
Hello. Hi, ma'am. Yeah. So, ma'am, I was just introducing you. So, that's Dr. Sazia Queyam, and basically, you have over 6 years of experience in the field of medical science, and you're if I'm not wrong, a PT physiotherapist, integrative health and wellness coach. So today
Yes,
we are going to,
exactly. Yeah, that's
so
my
today,
forte. Health,
yeah,
fitness, and everything related to it is my forte. Yeah.
and generally, ma'am, sport is related to fitness, but not as much as the discussion has been over the past couple of days. Because as you would be aware, like a heartbreak for India, as our
Yeah.
number one fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah, he broke down, and he's been advised rest for 4 to 6 weeks. So which basically means that he's not going to go to the World Cup. So first thoughts on that as a cricket fan, or someone who's interested in the game, or just like the World Cup. So first
Yeah,
reactions to that.
indeed, indeed. I'm sure that many of us are a huge fan of Jasprit Bumrah, and the way he bowls, it's like he has a very unique style, and I'm sure that many of us are a fan of that bowling action. But yeah, it's a sad news that he won't be playing these matches, and but yeah, we'll be talking about like why this happened and things that he should have taken care of and the kind of news that are going around about him. So we'll be talking in detail about it.
So, ma'am, basically, I don't just want to restrict it to Jasprit Bumrah. I
Hmm.
also want to talk about since you're also a wellness coach, right? I also
Yes.
want to speak to you in the course of this discussion that we're having. I also want to speak to you about uh, since medical science has advanced, and we keep hearing our team management talk about workload management. That is the catchphrase, right? Workload management. But still, if you compare it to the previous generation, and I know that there is a lot more cricket that is happening, there's a lot more traveling that is involved, and that takes its toll. But there are far more injuries, even though players have been rested every now and then, and that's not just bowlers but batsmen also. So, but we're seeing far more injuries now than we saw probably 10, 15 years ago. Why do you think that is? Why are players getting injured more often? Is
Hmm.
it because they should
Okay.
actually, just to finish my question, is it because they should actually, play more so that those muscles are used more, and then they basically strengthen more, and the chances of them breaking down are less, or the current approach is right? Since you're the expert, you
Hmm.
go.
Yeah. So actually, what is happening here is, yes, indeed, the medical technologies and all the therapeutic procedures have improved over the past few years. But our understanding of it, the reverse is true. We have to understand the human body. We are not machines, right? We have limitations. No matter how prodigal we are or how intelligently, geniusly we play the game or any kind of sport. So Iqbal is here. Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were talking about why injuries are happening and it's more common. So I think it's not common. It's the screening and the diagnostics which has improved over the past few years. So even if the minor thing is happening, it is getting detected by the
Okay.
devices, by the sensors, by even the sports scientist and the physiotherapist. So it's not the players who are getting more injured, it's actually the medical facilities which are getting more advanced to detect even the slightest of the injuries, of the imperfections or pathologies.
So
And they
so
feel that,
base
okay, we should give this player a bit of rest and we have other options to substitute to.
No, but we also have these concepts of so many like drinks and fuels, which basically uh, they check like what electrolyte is, and you're the expert, so what is less in the body. If calcium is less, then you make it that sort of a combination. But we still see that it's the players didn't break down as such, like 15, 20 years ago. So, like, let me give you an example. Let's say, like, someone like a a Zahir Khan or a Javegal Srinath or even a Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, they used to play day in, day out. Uh, so, do you think that is because they believe more in training outdoors, bowling in the nets, and playing match practice like matches and using those muscles which take a heavy load more often so that they strengthen, or is it because as you said they were but they still didn't break down. So even if it wasn't detected earlier, you didn't see lots of players missing cricket for 5, 5, 6 months. So there
Mhm.
has to be something to it, right? Like something is wrong somewhere.
We can't say this for sure, because if we are claiming something, then we need to have a kind of evidence behind it in medical science. We can't just claim anything and assume anything. Okay, we need to
Yeah.
just go back into our research paper, whether it's sports science journals or whether it's like those fitness journals. We need to go back and check what are the evidences, like if the lifestyle of current cricket players or sports players have changed over the recent past few years or not. Okay, so even I can't claim that, okay, so this is happening, like nowadays people players are not taking good care of themselves, or they are not training well, or the sports scientists or physiotherapists are not taking proper care of the protocols and all these things. We can't just blame or claim anything without any proper proof
Uh,
or evidence. So, yeah.
so I'm just because maybe because we're also emotional about cricket in India,
Yes, yes.
and we've recently this news has come. So
Yes, so to be
maybe
very specific, to be very specific, in this case of Jasprit Bumrah, what has happened is that his bowling action, which is very typical, which is very unique, and even I think Shoaib Akhtar in his video has said it a couple of times that because of his bowling action, he is a fast-paced bowler, and you can see, we all have seen the video footages, and we can see his bowling action. His both arms are in front, and there's a very high chance of muscle imbalance, because the center of gravity shifts towards the front, right? And it all the load gets on your back, that is your lumbar vertebra, and to be specific, that is L5. And
okay,
that L5, that spot is that vertebra has a weak spot out there. It's called pars. And when repeated loading, in physiotherapy we use this term of repeated loading. When repeated loading occurs in that L5 vertebra, then there's chances of stress fracture. And even if stress
okay,
fracture happens, these like micro trauma and cracks happen. In simple language we can say cracks happen, and if these cracks are not given even given proper rest to heal on its own, we know that bones heal, right? Even if we fracture our bones, it heals over time if it's not malaligned from its position. So we are not giving enough time, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 3 months. We are not giving that much of enough time and rest. Then I'm sure that and this happened, that stress fracture, which is a micro trauma, that leads to a serious injury, and surgery may be required. And some of the articles we have also read that fixtures are also attached, are given to him. So there's something serious. He has, I think, from my own view as well, I feel that he has two choices: either he need to make some changes in his bowling action, or he need to take proper rest in between and not play repeated matches.
but ma'am, like that has been happening, and I'll come to the action later because what you're saying is pretty much like what every expert keeps on saying. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that's the that you and we're hearing from the horse's mouth. So, but I want to come to the work again. I want to come to him playing like taking rest between games. So basically, after I think July, if I'm not wrong, this was the first he missed the Asia Cup, and then he was doing his strength and conditioning at the NCA, recovering, which is the National Cricket Academy, and then he came back and he played 1.5 matches. Like he bowled 6 overs, and now suddenly it seems to have relapsed. And what they said was this happened during a training session on Tuesday. So, how is that? Like, I'm sure BCCI has the best of doctors at the NCA, right? And if they had
Yes,
given
yes.
him the go ahead to play, and then he plays one match and then he gets injured again. So clearly, like there is something which was either not diagnosed or it was a recurring injury. because he hadn't played that much cricket. He just played 1.5 games in 3 months, and suddenly
Yeah,
he
it's
breaks
not
down
about
again.
the matches. It's about the his bowling action, the number of overs that he is bowling, and the way and his bowling action. Yes, it has a very big impact on as compared to other bowlers. I would say whether it's spin bowlers or other fast pace bowlers, his bowling action makes him susceptible to recurrent back injuries. Even in
Okay.
medical literature, you will read about spondylosis, and this is typically found in fast-paced bowlers. Okay, so we need to understand this thing, and obviously the body has some limitation, and no matter how good the strength and conditioning rehab program is, no matter how good diet he is getting, no matter how good all the
It can
professionals he
basically
is
happen
getting
to
trained
anyone.
from, yeah, it can happen to anyone. He need proper rest to recover from it, and if I don't know like how serious the injury is or what is happening behind the scene, because many of the things are not spoken publicly in, or
Yes.
given that news is not given to the press, so we don't know that how serious the injury and matter is, or he was allowed to play even if there was some he was not fit enough. We even don't know about this thing. So that's for sure that back injury is serious, and that needs rest
A
and
surgery.
also proper
Would
treatment.
you, yeah, like he might have to like, so basically what you're suggesting is take a break, get a surgery done, get it fixed, how much
Not
ever time
exactly
it takes.
surgery, because it depends on severity,
No, because
how
that's what I
severe
read.
the
That's
injury
what I
is.
read. He has to now undergo a
Yes.
surgery. That is what I read.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
because I'm not a medical person, so I
Yes.
can't.
Yeah. For surgery, there are various indications. So if
Yeah.
he has to be fit for the surgery as well. There are various criterias.
Okay.
Okay. On that day or in that week, if he's fit enough for the surgery, there is a pre-operative procedures are there. If he passes that surgery, he's eligible for the surgery. Then he will go surgery. If the doctors see that the healing is happening in a good way and he doesn't require surgery, then well and good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So because just to, ma'am, just to break it down to my audience who basically might not be like medical experts like you. So basically what ma'am is saying is that I think fast bowling, and we all agree to that, is the most unnatural thing a human being can do to themselves, because I think you put like around 10 to 20 times the body weight, the pressure on your back and your limbs. So that is that is a very unnatural thing to do, and that is why like you know, fast bowlers are supposed to be mad, because generally you won't put your body under so much stress, and you won't choose to do so. So one is that, and secondly, specifically what she said, and ma'am, you can correct me if I'm wrong in my summary, but secondly what you said, that his action is weird, so I think his lumbar or L5 is affected. That was some word you used,
Spondylosis. Yeah. Yeah.
spondylosis, and that is because if and my viewers would have, if you notice, he doesn't build into a rhythmic run up. So what he does is basically as a he walks, then he has a couple of hops, and then just two strides, and then the entire pressure is on his, and ma'am, like, does this
Yeah.
also make it more awkward that generally fast bowlers, if I can release the ball from here, this point, but
Yes. Yes.
he does it like aage se, like from the front
His
of his
other
body.
arm doesn't go backside; it stays in the
Yes,
front.
it's
So
stiff.
yes.
His other
Yeah.
arm is stiff, and he basically puts, and because there is also no run up, no momentum,
Mhm.
and it's just a hop, 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 and like two steps, and then boom. Like, and I think that puts basically more load on his back and on his
Yes. Yes.
sides, basically. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Even if you start doing that for a couple of
Yeah,
weeks,
yeah.
you will also feel some kind of stress in your
Oh, ma'am,
back. Yeah.
if I look at me, if I start doing any exercise in a couple of weeks, I'll have some of the other body part injured. But I'm
Mhm.
not playing for India, so people are not interested about my health. Um, and ma'am, basically, I also wanted to talk about this. Since you're also a wellness coach, does that include mental well-being, or is it only like physiotherapy and physical well-being? Because I wanted to talk
When it
about that
comes to
also.
back, yes, evidences suggest that yes, their mental health also takes a toll on their back. So
No,
one has to
I was
be
asking,
mentally fit as well.
if that, as a wellness coach, if that also comes under your area of expertise, because then I'd put you, I'll put a question which I wanted to ask an expert. So does that also come under
Yes,
an
yes.
area of your expertise? So, ma'am, explain to us, like, could there be a correlation between these injuries and breakdowns? Uh, Okay, wait. I have one question from a viewer. Zeds is asking, he's asking you, ma'am, is Bumrah's pain so severe that he has to be out of the game for a couple of months? So basically, I'll answer that since ma'am hasn't diagnosed him and there is very little communication. I think it's very unfair for her to answer Zeds. So
Yeah.
I'll spare you the this thing, ma'am. But yeah, so basically, what I was coming to was that uh, with mental health also playing a part with these bio bubbles, right? Because then you're not allowed to go out. You're confined to a room space and everything. Is there any correlation with that? Like also with the injuries being more frequent, or is that I'm just talking nonsense there? Like, or is
Yes,
there a
of,
correlation?
I'm sure that they are all the players, cricket players are getting world-class facilities when it comes to training, practice, and rehab. They are getting best of the best quality
Yeah,
healthcare
absolutely.
services. Yeah, and he's currently like National Cricket Academy. There, he's undergoing rehab and all those medical care. So I think he's getting all these things. But yes, when it comes to a person's own belief about their own health, how I feel about my back, how severe the pain I feel, because the pain threshold differs from person to person. Maybe
Absolutely.
what I feel is, oh, it's so severe, I feel like crying. But for you, maybe you have a higher pain threshold. Maybe you feel that, oh, it's not so severe, I can play. Okay, you will go for practice matches. Okay, so pain,
Okay.
that threshold level, this differs from person to person. So that also is one thing that has a role to play here. What we feel about our own health, the pain level, and the kind of lifestyle choices that you are making. Maybe you are not taking proper rest, not sleeping properly, not eating properly, or having too much stress, personal stress is there. So all these things also affects our game and sport.
Okay. So, ma'am, just to conclude on the Jasprit Bumrah topic, because you mentioned a little bit about, action, awkward action like that, with him repeating, like being like if he's repeating it often, then he is like bound to break down. And this was in 2018 when he just started playing Test cricket. One of the fast bowling greats, Michael Holding, one of the all-time greats,
Yeah.
and he had a very rhythmic action, never got injured. Like, even though he bowled 90 miles per hour. So he said that this boy is great, but he doesn't. He's he'll carry on after 5 years with that sort of bowling action. And even Shoaib Akhtar, you mentioned last year, he
Yes.
said that Bumrah is bound to break down. So we know that he has an awkward action, and that this was supposed to happen one or the other times. But my question to you is, because you can't have that awkward action if you haven't, and be so successful as him, if you haven't like done that from your childhood. So how is it that like he's been doing that now since
Yeah,
he was
so
a
we need
child.
to see
So
the timeline of how the injuries happened. First, he got the muscle spasm, and muscle spasm is actually body's protective mechanism. Okay,
okay,
so his body was actually first protecting him so that he pays some attention towards his back. Okay, so I need to take care of my body. I need to do something for my back. I need to take some precautions. But I don't know, like what happened. They maybe they ignored, or maybe they didn't took the proper rehab method, or not that recovery that kind of happened. And because of the matches, frequent matches, and the understanding of the whole the injury which happened, so maybe not was not that appropriate. So first his body gave him the sign, okay, so you need to do something about it. First a muscle spasm happened, but proper care was not taken care of. Then again the stress fracture happened, and if this stress fracture is also not taken care of, then might go for more severe stages where surgery is required, or it will be happening. Okay, so there's a timeline. Body gives us some time to recover and pay attention and do something about it. But if some person ignores and continues to like go beyond the limits and boundaries of our human abilities, there's a proper biomechanics of how our human body, our joints and muscles functions. We can't do something which is beyond our biomechanics. Okay, like for example,
Absolutely.
my joint can rotate 360-degree, or some of the joints can rotate only 90-degree. So if any person is going beyond 90, it can, okay, some person can be hyper flexible. They can take
Like Shoaib Akhtar.
90 to
Like Shoaib Akhtar.
they can take from 90 to 100, maybe they can do. In Guinness Book of World Records, you are seeing some person is folding their elbow to like 100-degree or 120-degree maybe. But you can't move a joint from 90 to 360-degree, okay, which is
No,
supposed to
okay,
just be at
and
90.
anyways, those are exceptions, right? That's why they
Yes,
made
yes,
it to the Guinness Book of World Record.
yes, yes.
Because ma'am, generally, I have been fascinated with this last point that you made. So basically, what you're saying is, and that's actually, and I thank you for that. That's very fascinating. That you're saying that the earlier injury was basically a spasm. So basically, that is a
Yeah,
protective this thing of the mechanism of the body, and so that injury was basically the breaking of the first layer. Putting it in not non-medical terms, but like so
the
basically,
muscles
the
were trying to spasm is something contraction. Spasm means contraction. Because of the repeated loading, the muscles was going into contraction or spasm to protect itself, okay, to brace
okay.
itself from the injury, to brace itself for the fracture ki fracture nahi ho. But even after that, when the repeated loading happened, or repeated stress happened, so it led to spondylosis.
So basically, that was a warning sign, a red sign for him. Ki this can't be continued for long, or if he has to, then he has to be taken really good care of. And like you can't play 14 matches in the IPL like in 2 months.
Yes, yes.
Basically, that is because his pretty much his India schedule has been he's been given rest in between. But what his injury also, I think part of that was playing like every day in the IPL, every second, third day, traveling, not getting enough rest, and playing 14 games in like so
Maybe
in like
he
one and
can
a
make
half, two
some
months.
variation in his bowling. A variation, I
Yeah,
think he can
but that
get
is never
mentored on
easy since
how to make
ma'am, just
variation
imagine,
in his bowling.
just imagine you've tuned your brain to do
Yeah,
something for the last 20 years, and to change that, and who knows if he'll be that effective or not. So that is a very, what you're saying is actually scary as an Indian
yeah.
fan. So you, but also fascinating at the same time, that the earlier injuries were a precursor to this injury because he had some spasms, and then somewhere someone didn't read the signs, and he continued, which led to a much more severe injury now, and now
And
also
point to be
to
noted, he's just 20 or 29 years old. Okay, so he's quite
yeah,
young.
yeah.
His body can recover.
But
But
ma'am, the
still,
thing with
yeah,
fast bowlers is that their age is just like till 31, 32. After that, like there are very few who bowl as fast as he does. Maybe maybe he comes back with a changed action. But there are so many examples like Shane Bond,
yes,
of
yes.
New Zealand. He when he came, he was 150 kilo, but he also had a very side on action. So he basically like this. So it that twist, he put a lot of stress on his sides, and he
Mhm.
kept on getting injured, and by the end of it he could cope up with it. I know he couldn't ever make it back as a successful bowler after like playing for 4 or 5 years. So I hope that doesn't, for India's sake, that doesn't happen
Yes,
with
yes.
Jasprit Bumrah. And I hope even
Maybe yeah, we really hope that he
yeah.
recovers very soon with the help of our physios and sports scientists. He recover very well and come back soon to the matches.
But ma'am, thank you for being so insightful, and not thanking you for being so making a scary prediction about Bumrah, but that's, I'm just joking. But thank you so much for your
Not
time.
at the
And if
cost
you
of a person's health.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Not
you
taking
a
advantage of somebody.
classic doctor's response. And ma'am,
Yeah.
it would be really sweet if you could just, tell your audience also to follow Cricket Cult Official. We'll keep doing such interviews. So, ma'am, thank you so much. And if you could just request the people to follow
Yeah,
up.
thank you so much for inviting me. And Cricket Cult Official is like a one-stop destination where you'll be getting regular updates about the cricket. And if you are a cricket fan, then that's one channel on Instagram that you should really follow. And if any of you are having any kind of queries or questions related to fitness, health, or anything, can also
Yeah.
reach out to me. I'm available on Instagram. Can DM me or
So basically, ma'am, what's
any
your Instagram account? I know it, but for my audience, if you could just spell
they
it
can
out. So
see on top. On top, they can see
yeah,
when they
yeah,
tap on Cricket Cult Official. There is an arrow where they
yeah,
tap,
yeah,
and they can see
yeah.
Sazia Queyam. My name is there.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time, and it was really insightful. And uh, hopefully, we'll have you again. If, but not in such desperate
Not for
circumstances.
injuries. We don't
Yeah,
want our players to get more injuries.
yeah,
We'll be
yes,
talking more about other stuff
yes.
and things. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Most welcome. Most welcome. It was lovely having you. Had fun.
Thank you.